Hello listeners and viewers, welcome to Kaduna State Ministry of Education Radio and TV e-learning program designed for our SS3 and other students staying at home due to the coronavirus pandemic. The present administration under the able leadership of His Excellency, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, is positioned as always to ensure that under his leadership, our students are not left behind in all areas of human endeavors, especially education. Kaduna State is the center of learning. Therefore, we want to ensure that our students excel in their forthcoming examinations and beyond. Students and other learners at home are given this opportunity in order to continue learning, as education is a continuous process. Different subjects will be taught in this program to assist students to perform excellently in the forthcoming Senior School Certificate examination being conducted by NECO and WAEC as soon as schools reopen. Teachers making presentations will always provide their names and phone numbers during each presentation, and they can be contacted for questions, further explanations, and/or clarifications. The following numbers and contacts can also be reached for expression of any concern or observation: 090-865-00545 or 080-383-62072. Our website is www.education.kdsg.gov.ng. Our email education@kdsg.gov.ng or education.kdsg@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Our Twitter handle @Kaduna_MOE. Or our Facebook page, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Stay safe, stay at home, and learn well. Thank you, happy listening, and happy viewing.
Good day, my fellow students at home. You are welcome once again to another segment of the e-learning program organized by the Kaduna State government under the Ministry of Education. Today, you are on to yet another subject, literature in English. And today we are taking one of the genres of literature, that is poetry. And the title for today's poem is The Dining Table. The Dining Table is a poem written by Barnabas Hallowell. And we have the poem. The poet himself, that is Barnabas Hallowell, hails from Sierra Leone, born in 1965. He was originally named or known as Elvis Jacob Hallowell, but for the purpose of being identified with his native land, he decided to change his English name, that is, change Elvis Jacob to suit names of his country, which is Barnabas Hallowell. Barnabas Hallowell studied English and lives as a teacher, librarian, journalist, and human rights activist. He endured his country's 10-year civil war, whose experiences shaped the composition of his collections. He is currently on the English faculty of the Islamic Saudi Academic in Virginia, and an adjunct professor of English in 2 colleges in the United States. The background of the poem, The Dining Table. The 10 or 11-year civil war of Sierra Leone was such a fierce one that the poet mockingly refers to it as the gathering at the dining table, meaning the background of the poem is traceable to it. The poem is a celebration of violence who saw brothers bent on decimating brothers, where compatriots literally ate each other's rather than food. In the poem Dining Table, blood is in itself a metaphor. Thus, blood has become an important image wherever Africa is mentioned in the country of nations. It is not only Sierra Leone that has experienced war in Africa. So many countries have had theirs in turns. The title of the poem suggests that the battle takes place in the east and northeast area of the country, where there is a tableland. A tableland is known as what? A plateau. Now, having gotten the background, let's look at the poem itself, the dining table. I take the dining table. If you have your copy, you can open and let's go together. Now, the dinner tonight comes with gun wounds. Our dessert, tongues lick the vegetable blood, the pepper, strong enough to push scorpions up our heads. Girls look into the ocean of boughs as vegetables die on their tongues. The table that gathered us in an island where gorillas walk the land while crocodiles sup. Children from Alphabeta with empty palm dine with us, switchblades in their eyes, silence in their voice. When the playground is empty of children's toys, who needs roadblocks? When the hour to drink from the cup of life ticks, cholera breaks its spell on cracked lips. Under the split milk of the moon, I promise to be a revolutionary, but my Nile, even without tributaries, comes lazy upon its own Nile. On this night reserved for lovers of fire, I am full with the catch of gun wounds, and my boots have suddenly become too reluctant to walk me. I will take the poem again. I will take the poem again so that you understand it better. Let's take the poem from the beginning. Again, the dining table. Let's take the poem again, the dining table, so that you understand it better. The dining table. Dinner tonight comes with gun wounds. Our dessert, tongues lick the vegetable blood, the pepper, strong enough to push scorpions up our heads. Girls look into the oceans of boughs as vegetables die on their tongues. The table that gathered us in an island where gorillas walk the land while crocodiles sup. Children from Alphabeta with empty palm dine with us, switchblades in their eyes, silence in their voice. When the playground is empty of children's toys, who needs roadblocks? When the hour to drink from the cup of life ticks, cholera breaks its spell on cracked lips. Under the split and milk of the moon, I promise to be a revolutionary, but my Nile, even without tributaries, come lazy upon its own Nile. On this night reserved for lovers of fire, I am full with a catch of gun wounds, and my boots have suddenly become too reluctant to walk me. I hope you're enjoying the reading of the poem. So that will give you a clear understanding of the poem, having read it twice. Let's look at the setting of the poem. As I told you earlier, setting is place and time. So the setting of dining table is this. From the background of the poem, it may have been a gathering of wounded countrymen on the Sierra Leonean plateau in the eastern part of the country. This country, that is Sierra Leone, went through a decade-long civil war between 1991 and the year 2002. The war was so fierce that the poet mocks brothers who have gathered at a dining table to feast on each other after a bloody battle, meaning it is a macabre meal, not the usual meal we know about. The presence of gorillas, crocodiles, is part of why we are assured that the land or country is the rainforest belt located in the tropical rainforest zone of Africa. The subject matter. The poet, that is Banabon Hallowell, announces to the reader in the very first two lines of the poem that the meal and gathering at the dining table is not about the usual meal we associate with the consumption of food and drinks, because the dinner comes with gun wounds. Perhaps the fighters may have come together to give an account of the operation of war or to rest after a tiresome battle, but they come with gun wounds and with blood all over them. The dining table is a point of pain of gun battles. Dinners feast from gun wounds. This is a wild meal associated with scorpions. The table separates the combatants from their wicked leaders, gorillas and crocodiles. The reader is informed that the gorillas walk the land while crocodiles sup, an indication of leisure and uncariness. Alphabeta suggests a school where the English alphabet is taught. The children who came from Alphabeta do so with empty palm. These children are child soldiers. Let's look at the line analysis. The first 6 lines of the dining table by Banabon Hallowell start with tonight's dinner. This dinner is not the usual feast to be looked up to because it is a dinner of gun wound, vegetable blood, pepper, and that of scorpions. The presentation of night in the poem is the time of evil, darkness, and horror. The devastated spoliation brought about by the war. The next 3 lines, that is 6 to 8, make references to girls who may have been partakers of the dinner of Sierra Leoneans who came to observe this macabre dinner. Line 8 make reference to tongues. Here there are 2 types of tongues: tongues of gunfire and human tongues used to test the grisly dinner. The horror of the war causes vegetables to die on their tongues. The table talked about in line 9 through 16 is the plateau of the northeastern part of Sierra Leone is flattened by the power of gunfire. The child soldiers, described as children from Alphabeta, do participate in the somber meal. The poet speaker asks, when the playground is empty of children's toys, who needs road blocks? This question is rhetorical because it is pointing to the fact that the children has taken their toys inside before the day, and all adult men went to the battle, to the fighting. Thus, the roadblock is unnecessary. In line 16 through 18, the throat is sweat of its thirst. The water has been polluted by vegetable blood and gun wounds. Thus, the threat of cholera and cracked leaves is real. Let's look at lines 19 through 23. The poet, having tested the split or milk of the moon, can be interpreted to be the blood of fellow youths. The youth promises to be a revolutionary who swear to do things differently in order to bring about positive change in society. The youth, or the revolutionary, to be in the context of the poem, has its own problems. That's laziness and indecision. The last 4 lines, that is 23 to 26, of the dining table portrays the poet persona to be full with the catch of gun wounds, which remind one of hunting. The poet also returns to what happens at dinner tonight. It is a night meant for lovers of fire. Let's look at the themes of the dining table by Banabon Hallowell. The first theme is war and destructiveness. War and destructiveness. War is a leveler, thus the dining table may be an arena for the wounded. So the poem is the grim experience of death and pain out of gun battles. The dining table is a poem of war that empties the playground of children's toys. The entire poem is about violence and bloodbath, which is common features of war. Number 2, child soldiers. Alphabeta in the poem is a metaphor for primary schooling. It's abandoned by children who proceed to the arena of the dining. The playground has no children's toys any longer since the children themselves have gone to war. This may have been responsible for the poet speaker's laziness and the reluctance of his moods to work him. The manner the poet brings in the fact that child soldiers are part of the diners who come with sparks of bitterness in their eyes. Number 3, theme, suffering occasioned by war. As we know, every war comes with suffering. Those who watch the scene of war will believe that much about war is suffering, pain, and death. The diner itself is the dinner of suffering. The main suffering is in gathering as if they are about to dine only to be feasted on gun wounds. The sources of water and the need to assuage human thirst, cholera breaks its spell on cracked leaves. You can find that one in the poem. Number 4, youthfulness and revolution. Earlier on, the poet speaker has reminded us of how gorillas walk the land while crocodiles surf. This is a reference to the African leaders known for poor leadership and instigation of war among those they rule. Now, youths are known for harboring a revolutionary mind and are willing to offer themselves to push the land of the ease of these leaders, but are not always in a position to do so. They pull down emerging structures and think they can do better. Therefore, the youthful revolutionary comes to the arena of governance with his own faults and pitfalls. The poet sees youth as lazy, hence he comes to the ground full with the catch of gun wounds and heavy clock boots. Now, let's look at the language and style of the dining table. The language and style of the dining table. The poet, through the poet speaker, makes the good use of figures of speech in order to buttress the content and meaning of what he wants to pass across to the readers of the dining table. This forms the language and styles of the poem. The first figures of speech used for us to understand the poem is metaphor. The poem has lots of metaphors, that is direct comparison, such as dinner, our desert tongues, scorpions, gorillas and crocodiles, dining table, children from Alphabeta, switchblades. I hope you are there. Now, that you can find that one in metaphor. Number 2 is kasura. Kasura is a strong phrasal pose, falls within a poetic line. These internal poses are used to ensure variety and emphasis as the poet wants them. Ordinarily, it will seem that the kasura or poses found inside the lines emphasizes disorder and crisis. I want you, as a student of literature who is going through this dining table, to take note of these lines in that poem. Line 2, line 4, line 6, line 12, line 13, line 14, line 16, and line 24. Number 3, euphemism. This is the use of softer words or expression for a harsh condition. The expression, the dining table, takes our minds to eating and enjoyments, whereas the poem is not about dining or satiating one's hunger for food. The use of euphemism can be seen in the following words or expression: lovers of fire, milk of the moon, crack leaves, oceans of birds, our desert tongues, the dinas and scorpions, guests. All this one can be seen in the use in that poem, the dining table. Number 4, personification. Personification, as we know, is an attempt to give human attributes to non-human objects so as to make them act or behave like humans. Such can be seen in the following expressions. The first one there is, dinner tonight comes with gun wounds. Second one, our desert tongues. And then we have the vegetable dye. Alliteration. Alliteration is a figure of speech that deal with a repetition of the same consonant sounds at the beginning of nearby words. This is noticeable in the poem Dining Table. Comes with gun wounds is alliteration. Pepper push, strong enough to push scorpions. My Nile upon its own Nile. All these are alliteration. Then we have another figure of speech called the assonance. This is the repetition of similar or identical vowels sounds. Check such in the following. Night reserved for lovers and fire. My night have suddenly become too relevant to walk me. Cholera breaks its spell on cracked leaves that gather us in an island where gorillas. Then we have the last one, which is irony and mockery. The poem is founded in irony with a voice of mockery and satire. There are eating and drinking vocabulary, yet ironically, no eating or drinking is going on in a positive sense in which these two terms are known. The poet's attitude to the leaders is to be located in their description as such human gorillas and crocodile. Finally, the final revolutionary trope in the last division of the poem completes the notion of mockery and irony. Now, let's look at the structure of the poem. The structure of the poem. Now, the poem, I hope you are there. The poem is made up of 26 lines with 2 breaks. One between lines 8 and 9. Another between lines 18 and 19. The first stanza of the poem centers on what happens at their dinner. The second stanza is about the shattered youth who wants to be a revolutionary, but laziness, indecision, and very wet boots cannot allow him to take on the role he desires to take. So always be at the observer and know that this is the structure of the dining table. Now, I hope you see the structure. See the structure. So before any other thing, I will read the poem again so that you will catch up. Now that you have seen the structure, let's read the poem again and then you get it better. Are you ready to listen again? So take your poem and let's go together. Dinner tonight comes with gun wounds. Our desert tongues lick the vegetable blood, the pepper, strong enough to push scorpions. Are you know? Strong enough to push scorpion. Strong enough to push scorpion. Now, the table that gather us in an island where gorillas walk the land while crocodiles sup. Children from Alphabeta with empty palm dine with us. Switchblades in their eyes, silence in their voice. When the playground is empty of children's toys, who needs roadblocks? When the hour to drink from the cup of life ticks, cholera breaks its spell on cracked leaves. Under the split milk of the moon, I promise to be a revolutionary, but my nigh, even without tributaries, come lazy upon its own nigh. On this night reserved for lovers of fire, I am full with the catch of gun wounds, and my boots have suddenly become too reluctant to walk with me. As you can see, the poem have nothing to do with eating and drinking. It's all about what? It's all about what? Wounds and war. So I hope you can still remember the setting. which where we say the setting talk about the time and talk about the place. And in this one, we can see everything's happened in Sierra Leone. From the background of the poem, it may have been a gathering of war. And you can see there, Sierra Leone, and they fight the war between, the war that engulfed Sierra Leone was from 1991 to the year 2002. So, just like you can see in the subject matter too, all these things, we were able to understand that the war in Sierra Leone is not only common to Sierra Leone alone, even in Africa, it's part of Africa. War, anytime you call war, the first thing you remember is Africa. So war has been going in Africa, as you can see in Sierra Leone. That of Sierra Leone was 10 to 11 years fighting war. So we can see it there. So it's not a meal of eating and drinking. It's not a meal of eating and drinking. It's all about what? War. So you can see their gun wounds are going there, so it's not eating and drinking. So now that I want to believe that you understand this poem, The Dining Table. So I read the poem again on your own at home, read it, understand it, and then I try to answer this question as an assignment that I'm leaving you with. Now ensure that you attempt the following questions to boost your knowledge. The assignment will boost your knowledge and understanding of the poem. So you can as well engage your friends and co-literature students. Discuss with them in a group discussion in order to abreast yourself with the vice view. The question number 1, discuss the setting as well as the structure of the poem. Discuss the setting as well as the structure of the poem. Number 2, how does the poet convey the impression that a player too is the setting of the poem? How does he convey the impression that a player too is the setting of the poem? And the third question I want you to study or discuss with your friend is, how do the specific features of the poem show that it is also about violence, oppression, and suffering? I take number 3 again. How do the specific features of the poem show that it is also about violence, oppression, and suffering? Now, before I go, now, in case you have any question, you can meet me, call me on this number, 080-9174-0622. 080-9174-0622. Stay at home. Stay safe. Keep learning. Stay at home. Stay safe. Keep learning. Until we meet next time again, remain blessed and keep on studying. Thank you.